Rainey Harper. And so, as we prepare to move on and discuss that subject, once again, let's remember that Barbara Bryce here is one of 2 award recipients for the University of Maryland. We have another award recipient in the fine arts category, and we'll move along to him in just a few moments here. So, Barbara, it was very, very nice to have you, and thanks for coming out.
Thank you again for inviting me.
Very good. In honor of the 150th anniversary of the University of Maryland, we want to recognize a young artist who recently graduated from the University of Maryland. This artist is the recipient of our Fine Arts Award. The International History Week Fine Arts Award this year goes to Michael David Bloom, and he has them here on display for us. Yeah, please go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I'd like to say this is what I call Hillary and Lindsay the First. As you can see, this is you have 2 cartoony figures and 2 flat figures from behind against a totally flat yellow background. So,
what stimulated you to paint these 4 subjects, and who exactly are these girls?
These girls, if I can just explain, these are based on celebrities. Like I take Hollywood celebrities from time to time, and I like to modify them into pop art icons in any way I can. So
that was your initial idea?
Yes, it was. And to explain who these are, like I take Hilary Duff, one of the younger stars out today, and very popular. She used to be in the Lizzie McGuire show, and she's done several movies. And then here you see Lindsay Lohan with that really great expression on her face, given like the sort of bullhorn sign, and see what she did. What she's best known for a film called The Parent Trap, and actually it was a remake of the classic 1950s film. And she all went on to do like Freaky Friday and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen and Mean Girls as well. And see the 2 flat figures here, what they represent, nobody really knows. But to tell you the truth, that wasn't really my original intention. My original intention was to keep on going with the same motif, to keep them as cartoony as these 2 front figures. So what happened was that this was done out of the suggestion of my teacher, one of my professors, as I was doing this in class. These 2 flat figures, when you look at them, you don't really know exactly what they stand for, but some people may just go like, whoa, they probably stand for past lives or past identities. They may pass for double lives, and they're very intriguing when they're set along with these 2 sort of 3-dimensional figures, relatively speaking. So yeah.
You sound like you have a very creative mind.
I do.
Well, tell me something. Did you ever do anything that reflected on this idea in your art?
I did stuff that much earlier. I did stuff that when I was still in my 2004 school year. I've done like at least 2 paintings. One in which I have Hillary as like a sort of action figure, sort of action animated superstar, but it was done in abstract brush strokes. That was all brushed together, and then another one where I had like her and her as their superhero aliases, but also another member in the mix, and that was never completed in like 2004, and that happened because when I was about to finish that, my father had died and the spring semester was rolling by, so I was never able to get the idea, fully established.
Well, describe to us this painting and what you did to complete 4 figures instead of just 2. What do these faceless and flat figures have to do with your cartoon-esque depictions?
Well, see, what I wanted to do was I had wanted to do something which I still wanted to use Hillary and Lindsay as my subjects. I didn't want to have to start on the superhero idea quite yet, but I did want to get started on my second painting, just after finishing up my first, wanted to go on and get like 4 photographs and put together like an assessment of poses. And so I took there were never any preliminary drawings for this. Straight up, there were never any preliminary drawings for this. All it was I put them together randomly, and I started with what I got.
We look at this next painting, and it looks as if you continued on from where the first painting took off. Can you tell us about this one in more detail? What are some of the things that you did that were different from the other work that you did?
Well, what I did was with my first one, it was good, but I wanted to articulate more of the Japanese animated caricatures of the two celebrities. So I went on and did this really big painting. This is 5.5 by 6 feet, and what you see here is Lindsay acting out a pose from an Alfonso Mucha print. And that one too, like Hillary is like, standing with sort of the similar pose from another print. Alfonso Mucha was the artist that inspired me to do this painting. He was an Art Nouveau artist, and Art Nouveau artists were known to make really, really psychedelic and colorful and mystical prints and all other works. And it was a very unique style of the time, back in the late 1800s. So I wanted to copy that. In fact, I originally wanted to have this more elaborate than what you see here. I wanted to have more of the, cool, elaborate designs, misty clouds in the background, arches flowing about. Even have the girls, more detailed and give it more value, more shadow. But then I decided this is going to be too big a step from the last painting. Probably the only thing to be really different is, in their eyes and how the eyes function. You know what I mean?
Who was Alphonse Mucha?
Right, as I said before, he was an Art Nouveau artist. He's from Czechoslovakia. He did these prints, whereas like mainly all ladies, all women, and they would pose for like different postcards. This is the kind of stuff that you would send postcards to, or wrap it up in chocolate. In the late 1800s, he'd be doing a lot of marketing ads for local shops. Be featuring mainly women, as spiritual creatures, mystical creatures out of nowhere. So it'd be like, and each woman would represent like summer or winter, or they would represent like the dance or the flower. They represent different spiritual factors.
What does the logo on top mean?
Hillen's is a logo that I've come up with myself, and this is actually a combination of the two nicknames for these two girls. Lindsay Lohan, for example, as you see here in this pose, is nicknamed Linds, usually spelled Linds, but I changed the end of it to a Z because it sounded much cooler. It was close to more of a Japanese animated kind of thing. Usually they have these zinging names for action shows. I wanted to reference that. And for Hill's a really short nickname for Hillary Duff that you see right here. Hillary Duff Hill. So and the symbols I put right in here, what people may think of as a T, it's actually an L. But I've designed this really cool little thing here where you see like something out of a lava lamp, these water bubbles, water spurts, to tell you that Hill is a water type of figure. Like she stands for coolness, for purity, for for the crashing waves of the consciousness. I can go on and on. This is the idea behind it was more elaborate than this. And then with here, where you see the dot in the eye for Linz, you see fire right here, a fire comet. This is to signify passion and wildness of temptation, to signify the soul, so to speak, how the fire of the soul flickers.
And what does this mark here represent right over her head?
That's supposed to be an underdash. Well, I don't know exactly. Like I see this little insert right here as like a bird flying without its wings spread. But I don't know exactly.